I think the people are going to like this because all day I've heard this on the station, and I'm not mad at anybody. I don't know why people are making such a big deal out of the Pistons dropping a bomb on the Knicks. Did you expect anything different? The Pistons are really good, but here's your problem. A, the game was on Peacock. Second of all, the NBA, if I had to put this politely, NBA basketball in November, December, January is rough. And look, here's the last piece to this. Nothing the Pistons do right now means anything. They have attained a level that the only thing that matters is what they do in the playoffs. Rico and I sat here about 10 days ago. We played some WFAN audio, and I made an open-ended bet to anyone there who was willing to take it. Let's check that hotline. And what happens 10 days later? The Pistons do exactly what we talked about. If the Pistons play the Knicks in the playoffs, they're going to beat them. I think the Pistons have every right to represent themselves in the ECF and go from there. I don't know why people are sitting here like gobsmacked. Here's the other problem. Well, nobody watches it. No one's watching a Monday night Peacock game. Sorry.
Here's what happened. The reason why people are so excited, they went into the game, I believe, as an underdog to the Knicks, and you went out there and you smacked them around. And to a lot of Detroit, that's your main competition for the East.
Because the East is like abominable. By the fact that the Celtics with Jason Tatum's cadaver are the 2 seed? What? We're terrible.
It's AL Central, NFC South. Somebody's got to win this thing.
But Mike Valenti is making some noise in our wide world of Pistons. So I might put some of the comments on the screen if I can remember, bro. If I ain't got too much shit on the table when I walk in here. And yeah, he basically is saying that the Pistons wins right now don't matter. Don't nobody watch the Pistons. The Pistons wins don't matter. And, them beating the Knicks don't matter. Talk to them playoff time. And at the end of the day, you got to understand a lot of these dudes a lot of white fans don't like basketball, right? And let me just put it to you that way. A lot of these white fans don't like basketball, because for the most part, it's for them. Sorry for the sun shining like that, man. Jesus Christ. Hold on. Let's see if we can get some. That ain't even helping. I don't know why the sun, but yeah, for the most part, a lot of them, a lot of these white fans. It's just not a lot of white people in basketball. You know what I'm saying? If you go to a Pistons game, you're gonna see majority of the urban crowd there. So you got to understand too. It's hard to watch something when you're not represented in it. If it was more black people in hockey, and I watch hockey, you know what I'm saying? I enjoy it. If it was more black people in hockey, more black people in baseball, I feel that, more people, once again, I feel that more black people will watch those sports. You know what I mean? And that's my opinion on it. But you got to remember too, for Mike Valenti, his age group is baseball. It's, football. But right now you do have Cooper Flag, and you do got, a couple other dudes in there. But for the most part, to downplay the Pistons' victories, the keeper the beam, to downplay their victories in a way that people are downplaying what they doing, to me, it's just to the point like you forgot 2 seasons ago, they had 14 wins. They had a franchise low. They was the worst team in the league. You know what I'm saying? With the number 1 pick, should have got the number 1 pick again. They didn't allow it to happen. So this was a pleasant surprise. Just like the Tigers rising up and becoming good real quick, just like the Red Wings is rising up. And I think out of all the 3, the Red Wings, the Tigers, and the Pistons, because the Lions really jump-started the rejuvenation of Detroit sports. And I think they motivated these 3 teams to get together. I think if you knew people that knew these teams, they would say Steve Yzerman leaving Tampa Bay to run the Red Wings, that the Red Wings probably was going to turn it around, before these other teams was going to turn it around. That's just what it is. That's what we thought. But, I think Troy Weaver laid the good foundation down. He just didn't know how to add the pieces around the young guys that he drafted. And that's what Trajan Langdon did. The first thing he came in was, all right, you trying to do James Wiseman, Marvin Bagley. That too big shit ain't going to work. The first thing he came do, let's move Stu to the bench. Let's get Tobias Harris, to Tim Hardaway Jr., Beasley. Let's get defense and shooting. And that's what turned it around. And a coach that, he didn't even know from a can of paint. But to downplay what they're doing, it's amazing to go from 14 wins one season to being a playoff team, then to being the number one seed. It is to be applauded. You know what I'm saying? And obviously there's an addiction when you start talking about tankathon and the NFL draft, and he probably want to talk more about baseball, but this generation of Gen Z and millennials don't give a fuck about baseball because y'all didn't promote baseball to hip hop culture. Now y'all say hip hop culture. Most people don't even care about baseball. Y'all price baseball out, these travel leagues. Y'all price these young brothers out. Y'all price these young kids out. Y'all rather go to the Caribbeans with a bag of rice and get a kid. Y'all rather keep it a good white American sport. So the youth don't want to talk about it. And it's the worst sport to watch. Damn, I'd rather watch golf to keep it a bean. But it's the best sport. It's one of the best sports to play. I love playing baseball. But yeah, that's his whole thing about it. His whole thing is he's not a basketball fan. They don't want to talk about basketball. They rather talk about the Tigers and they rather talk about the Lions. He really rather preference talk about the Tigers. And that's just the God of the honest truth. So, for the most part, this is an urban city. Even when the Pistons were bad, they still was 15th in attendance at Little Caesars. That's the power of moving downtown. As much, and y'all wonder why they chant Jared Goff versus chanting Kay Cunningham. It's an ethnic thing. It's an ethnic thing. That's just what it boiled down to. They can identify, the Lions games is filled with majority non-black people. Most of the city of Detroit, and I say this all the time, they don't fuck with the Lions like that because they losers. The people that fill up the stadiums and enable the Lions to have the highest ticket in football after being a piss poor franchise for 1,000 years, the people that continue to fill up that stadium when they was piss poor bad and they didn't win a game, they were people outside of the city of Detroit. They were the non-blacks. They were from Traverse City. They was from Bay City. They was from, all these other non-urban communities. They would fill up the stadium. It wasn't the city of Detroit. The city of Detroit, they never condoned what the Lions did. Real talk. And that's just the honest truth. They never condoned it. They go to the Tigers game because most of the generation seen the Tigers win. Now, I see a lot of people going to the Wings game. The Wings were winners. The Pistons, while they still go to the Pistons have history, they won. The Lions don't have any history of winning while most of us was alive. So that's the thing about it. But for Valenti, he just doesn't like basketball. And you hear, talk to me when they beat the Knicks and talk to me when they play the Thunder and talk to me when it's like, damn, like, dog, we doing what we're supposed to do. Or, and then other people on 97 wanted to, yeah, they all old farts, all them old. They need to fire all of them and get a youth movement, right? And then it was the other people, I did the video on it. I don't know who they were on 97. Well, they haven't played any of the top West teams in the playoffs, and they went out there and they smashed the Lakers. So what are we talking about? They went out there and smashed the Knicks. Had they lost to the Knicks, Valenti would be on here ranting about, I told you they wasn't that good. And it's like, okay. But hey, thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the link tree. You can find me on X, Facebook, Kick, Twitch, Instagram, Spotify, Anchor, Cash App, PayPal, everything inside the link tree is the first link in the description. Check out Detroit Piston Talk playlist. Peace.